So I would just like it to be known, I had a scrunchie with ears that went with this costume. On my last closet clean out, I must have gotten rid of them or something. So call me forgetful, call me stupid, call me unprepared, okay? One thing you don't ever call me is dull. I hope some younger millennial out there is vibing with this look. You get it? You get it? You know who I'm supposed to be? I feel like the ears really, I'm missing the ears. But, oh well. Happy Halloween! It's time to find out if more people are assholes. Halloween edition. Hey babes! Welcome and welcome back to Moonbae Crochet. It is Brandy and today I am here with a very special edition of reading r/am I the asshole stories because they are all Halloween spooky edition. Now, I'm just gonna start this video off by saying really quick, these aren't necessarily craft related, okay? However, I did do my best to find any and all sort of crafty related but also Halloween themed r/am I the asshole stories that I could find. So please bear with me. I just kind of wanted to do something fun and spooky today. I mean, how often is it that my upload schedule would fall on Halloween? I had to go all out. By the way, I never claimed to be a makeup artist, okay? I never contoured my nose a day in my life. This wasn't supposed to be contour, you know, it's a bunny nose. I'm Lola Bunny, in case anybody was unaware. Space Jam, 1995 or 6. I can't remember what year it came out, but one of the best movies of all time. I mean, you know, I watch it again as an adult and I'm like, this is pretty corny. But, you know, everything that we liked as kids is kind of corny when you grow up. And I don't know. I always wanted to be Lola Bunny, and so here I am. I'm really mad that I lost the years to this costume. But anyway, in case you are new here, my name is Brandy. I love to do crochet content on here, sharing patterns and projects that I love, having a chill little crochet and chit chat moment with you guys, sometimes reading stories, just getting cute, cozy, and crafty with y'all. So if any of that kind of content sounds interesting to you, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, sticking around. We have lots of fun here. So, you know, like I said, today's stories aren't really too crafty, but I hope you'll forgive me. It is a holiday after all. I promise the regularly scheduled crochet content is going to be back up and running before you know it. I promise I'm not going to veer off in a totally different direction with this channel. It is called Moonbae Crochet after all. With all that being said, let's hop right into today's wacky stories. Alright, the first story that we're going to be reading today is titled, Am I the Asshole for Not Wanting to Help My Wife with Halloween Costumes? Context: my wife, 29 female, always makes the kids Halloween costumes. We have 3 kids, 5 female, 7 male, and 9 male. She did not have an amazing childhood, and so I think she is constantly trying to make sure our kids do. She home makes every birthday cake, DIYs the birthday decorations, makes pajamas for every holiday, and always home makes the Halloween costumes. She also does these theme monthly movie nights where she creates this whole scene. For example, this month was Coraline. She made custom dolls for each kid, welcome home cake, and the whole food spread. This is all great, but the problem is she expects me to help. All our kids are in activities. We both have full-time careers, and I believe she stretches herself thin by doing all of this, and also expects me to. We have the money to just go out and buy stuff, so I don't get why we have to do so much. She says these are the things that the kids will remember. Anyway, this all came to a head as I've been out of town most of the month for work, so she's had to shoulder the full responsibility of the kids. This caused her to be behind on making the costumes, and she's stressed. She was asking me if I'd be able to create one of the costumes for her. She has the supplies and can walk me through. The problem is, I just don't feel like it. Okay, I'm pissed off already. The problem is, I just don't feel like it. I told her we can go get a cheap costume, it's not a big deal. Well, she refused and was up all night finishing these costumes. I told her this morning that they looked awesome and she just rolled her eyes. She was making coffee and I asked if she'd make me a cup. She replied, "Go buy one." She's been distant and cold. I was talking to my coworker and he called me out, saying my wife is right. My kids will remember the effort my wife put in, and they'll also remember how hard I made it for her. Now I'm feeling off, like maybe I am the asshole. But at the same time, I usually do help a bit. I was thinking this one time wouldn't be a big deal since we were both tired. So am I the asshole? And then there is an update which I'll read later, but yes, you are. As respectfully as possible. Yes, like your wife is busting her ass to do these things, and yes, you have the finances to do, to just go buy something, but like, you don't think she knows that she wants to do these things, right? And because you've been out of town and she's been shouldering the whole responsibility of all the kids on her own and working full time, not saying that your work isn't important, of course. You've been working full time and you've been out of town for work. But because of that, you've actually had the luxury of not having to, help with the kids for that amount of time. And so now that you're back, she's, running a little behind because she's been having to do everything for everyone. And she still really wants to do this costume thing. This means a lot to her, clearly. And so when she tells you, hey, do you think you could just make this one costume out of 3? Okay, I'll walk you through it. I have all the stuff already. You just need to put it together. I don't see why you said you don't feel like it. What do you mean? What do you mean? Do you think that she feels like getting the kids up and ready for school? Do you think that she feels like coming home and having to cook dinner for everybody? Do you think she feels like cleaning the house after a long day of work? Like, no, we don't do these things because we feel like it. We do it because they have to get done, or because it would cause us joy, right? Doing this costume thing would cause her joy. But now she's stretched for time, and instead of just being, helpful and being like, yeah, just tell me what to do, and just doing it despite the fact that you don't feel like it, and you're over here telling her, oh, can you make me a cup of coffee? Well, she doesn't feel like it. Go buy one. Like, I think that was a fire line also. That was not nice of you. I would feel very upset too, because I just think that, I don't know, a lot of times I think women, we just get kind of like brushed off as like, well, you're a mother, this is what you're supposed to do, so the things that we do are not appreciated sometimes, and it sucks even more when it's coming from your partner. So it's like, come on bro, help a girl out. So the update says, okay, I'm the asshole. I'll apologize and see if she needs help with anything else. However, I'm positive half the parents commenting don't do these things and still think they're doing a great job. And then update, we are fine. We sat and talked and we laughed about how I'm getting shit on all these social media platforms. We carved pumpkins with the kids. We've been together since we were 16 and have been married for 9 years. No one is going anywhere. I love my wife. I love my kids. And I'm a very present, active husband and father. Happy Halloween. Well, I sure hope so. And yeah, I mean, like, I don't think that this situation constituted divorce or anything, but I absolutely understand why she was upset. And let's see what other people have to say. By the way, can I just say, we're on part, 17 now, I think, of me reading Am I the Asshole stories. And like, okay, I'm gonna explain something really quick, and like, I hope that somebody out there can just like kind of, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So, NTA means not the asshole, right? So, was I crazy for thinking that YTA is yes, the asshole? Because literally nobody in like the first 15 episodes of this that we've done on this channel has ever said anything to me regarding the fact that I've been saying yes, the asshole, or not the asshole. And I think on my most recent video, somebody commented, the fact that you say yes, the asshole instead of you're the asshole is bugging me. And I'm just like, well, dang, you don't have to watch. But also I'm just like, I mean, does it matter? It means the same thing. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm probably still going to continue saying yes, the asshole, just because that's just kind of not the asshole, yes, the asshole. Like, I don't know. They just go together. Like, you're the asshole. I mean, yeah, it goes. I feel like it really doesn't matter, but hey, somebody felt bothered enough to comment it, so just saying. Sorry if it's been bugging you too that I've been saying it, but I'm probably not going to change. So anyway, moving on. This one says, yes, the asshole. Even if this isn't something that you prioritize all the time, you could have helped her with the costume because it's important to her. But beyond that, your attitude about your wife's efforts is just terrible. She's working her hardest to show the kids they're a priority to her and making really fun and special memories for them. And all you have to say about it is that it's a waste of time. The fact that you don't appreciate and support her efforts is just really, really sad. What do you propose she do with the extra time she would save by not making things special for the kids? What do you do to spend time with your kids and show them you care? Your coworker is right. The way you're behaving must be making your wife so, so sad. Edit, by the way, she's been taking care of the kids for most of the month by herself so you can go out of town and further your career. Do you do the same for her? Or is she expected to be the one to take off work every time the kids need something? It really seems like you take her for granted. I agree with that. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't mean it in a harsh way, but yeah, it's kind of like, I just feel like sometimes, you become complacent and you get used to the fact that somebody is so loving and so extra and so just always wants to make everything perfect for everybody. But because of that, it's like you become accustomed to it and then you don't really appreciate it. It's almost like, well, it just comes natural and you don't kind of realize what you have until you lose it, type of thing. Just something to think about. This one says, yes, the asshole. I was on the fence until the I don't feel like it and the coffee comment. I mean, really, guy? You were away for a month and she had to deal with the kids herself. Then she asked for help, and rather than you guys ordering food, putting some music on, and having a night together finishing the costume, you decided it wasn't worth the effort. The worst part was the audacity asking her to pour or make you the coffee the following morning, when you knew she'd been up all night stressing. It's about how we make things work, being there when we see our partner struggling. This also includes when we ourselves are burnt out. You could have had a nice night with your missus and you fudged it. She might be a bit over the top when it comes to going the extra mile for your kids, but isn't that what makes it magical? As someone who grew up with a shit childhood, I applaud her efforts. I agree, and I do think that also she's correct. Like, these are the things that your kids remember. I know kids can be, especially as they get older, they become kind of materialistic. They want this toy, and they, when they get older, they want this video game console, and they want all these things, but truthfully, like, seriously, me as an adult, I'm gonna be 30 this year. I think I mentioned that in every video, but the things that I remember most are not the things that I was gifted as a kid, or, it's like the feeling, the taste of the sugar cookies that my grandma would put in the oven, or the sounds of the music that my grandma would play on this like old school, radio during Christmas time, or the feeling of watching The Grinch, like the OG, like 60s version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas on TV with my grandma. Like, these are the things, the feelings that I remember, and like the look of the Christmas tree and how her Christmas tree had lights that would change colors, and those are the things that I remember. I can't even remember what my grandma gifted me as a kid. I mean, yeah, one or two things that really stood out, of course, but it's the feelings that you remember when you're an adult. And so I think that the fact that the wife is doing all these things, these are the things that the kids are going to remember when they're older. And they're probably going to be like, very well adjusted and happy people as adults because their mom did so much to, try and make their childhood magical and special. So I love that for her. Yes, you were the asshole in the situation, but I'm glad you guys talked it out. And, I hope that this kind of registers to you and sinks in going forward, that you don't treat her like this and you start appreciating the things that she's doing. So, just something to keep in mind. Next story. The next story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Going as Grass to an Early Halloween Party? A few weeks ago, I, 31 male, was invited to my friend, 33 male, Will's early Halloween party. I had eagerly accepted the invite and was excited to celebrate because as a childless, single 31-year-old man with no children or younger siblings, Halloween had managed to be one of those holidays that slipped through the cracks. A few days after the invite, though, Will informed me that the party was a costume party. I hadn't been too surprised, though, because Will has a young son who is incredibly passionate about Halloween, yet doesn't feel that comfortable trick-or-treating, and because it really wouldn't be that difficult, I agreed to dress up. Now, here's where I think I may have went wrong. While I do love Halloween, I didn't really have any costumes, which meant that my options were either to make something or to buy something to wear. And because I'm a cheapskate, I decided to just make my own costume. Unfortunately, though, the only things I had that felt slightly costumey were a green shirt, green pants, a top hat, sunglasses, and a white scarf, and one of those bead necklaces you get at parades. Being limited, I had decided to reach into the deepest and darkest corners of my mind for a costume, and eventually I came up with a blade of grass costume. I was wearing the green pants, green shirt, shaded sunglasses, and the top hat, which I had covered with green construction paper. Then, for good measure, I went outside my house and massaged a little soil into the clothes. Then, yesterday, the party rolled around and I came in my grass costume. I was a little embarrassed as the first three people I saw were wearing realistic demon costumes and stuff, and there I was, a dirt-wearing piece of grass. It was all okay though, until Will's son came out and started to cry. Now, when I said that Will's son was young, I meant that he's too young for kindergarten. So when he saw me and started to cry, I felt kind of at fault. Then when Will saw me and tried to comfort his son, he asked what I was, and so I told him. Then Will told me that I knew how much his son loved Halloween, which I did. And when his son started to scream at the top of his lungs that I had ruined the party and had gone as the wrong thing, he asked me why I thought it would be appropriate, as I had witnessed his son freak out over the smallest of things plenty of times before. So, was I the asshole for going as a blade of grass to a party? I don't think so. I feel like I'm missing a little bit of context. Like, it's not like it was the kid's birthday, right? Like, the party wasn't centered around the kid. It was like a Halloween party. So, like, I feel like it kind of goes without saying, like, yeah, it's a costume party. But, you know, obviously his son is very into Halloween and, you know, he maybe gets a little temperamental over certain things, like, hey, whatever, he's a kid. But I don't know, I feel like maybe Will should have taken a little bit of responsibility and, you know, either one told you, like, hey, try to go all out, like, try to do something, like, big. Because if not, I mean, like, he just said, hey, it's a costume party, dress up. And you were just kind of like, well, okay, but you didn't want to spend money for a costume that you're only going to probably wear once. It's like, I don't know. I don't really see the big deal. I think that Will should probably take responsibility and try to at least teach his son to have a little bit more of an appropriate reaction when it comes to things like this that really are not life and death situations, you know. So no, I mean, do I think it was a little lazy? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's your prerogative. And I feel like, you know, people probably wouldn't have even cared if you just showed up in no costume at all, except maybe the son, of course. But, you know, I think if it was a really, really big deal, Will should have been the one to tell you, like, hey, I'm gonna need you to, like, put in a lot of effort. And you would have gotten the memo and you probably would have, you know, done so. So, no, I don't think you're an asshole for this. I think that this was just a little... This is kind of like a silly situation in my opinion. But let's see what other people have to say. This one says, not the asshole. If you have a costume party with your young and sensitive son, you can't expect everyone will be dressed as something your son will accept. Your costume sounds original. I'm sorry this happened to you. Doesn't sound that original, but I mean, hey. This one says, not the asshole. Perhaps your costume was not in the same league as the others, but that is no reason for Will to allow his toddler son to have a temper tantrum and embarrass his guest. Okay, see, that I feel more so is kind of like what I was saying. This one says, I highly doubt this is real. If this is, though, 100% not the asshole. I think you're a bit lazy in terms of costumes, but not the asshole. I'm not sure of ages, but I think kindergarten is about 3. Okay, yeah, you're really not sure about ages. I think I was 5 when I started kindergarten. I think most kids start at like 4, but no. I have a daughter that's about 2.5. This morning she cried because I couldn't find her duck toy despite holding said toy. Don't take children's tantrums to heart. And yeah, I think that's, you know, this is falls on Will, okay? And again, I'm not saying Will is an asshole either. He just it's kind of weird that, like, he's taking his toddler's little temper tantrum and telling you, well, why would you do this? It's like, no. Teach your child to have an appropriate reaction to things, or like to collect himself when he starts to feel these big feelings, you know? So, not the asshole. This is silly. Next story. The next story is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my brother-in-law I'm not going as Maleficent for Halloween? I, 23 female, am an amateur seamstress, and I've been into cosplay for a while now. I've been into Twisted Wonderland since it came out in English, and at the end of this spring I decided to cosplay one of the characters, Malleus, for Halloween. Twisted Wonderland is a Disney gacha game. The basic premise is that you're in a boarding school full of anime boys based on Disney villains. Malleus is based on and looks quite a lot like Maleficent. I spent most of the summer making his outfit, since I couldn't find a good coat pattern and had to make my own. And this past week, I finally tried the whole thing on and took some photos for friends and family. My brother-in-law, 29, has been making really obnoxious comments to me for years about how I look like a man. I'm a butch lesbian. And one thing he's really been harping on is how I only cosplay male characters. He's very much a frat bro type, and my sister, 28, insists it's all in good fun. But he sometimes seems genuinely angry about it, and it honestly bothers me. After he tried to set me up with a male friend of his, I told my sister that he either needed to stop trying to change me or I'm going to stop speaking to him and only see him at family events. She talked to him and the comments stopped for the most part. When he saw my photos, brother-in-law thought I was cosplaying Maleficent and congratulated me on finally dressing like a woman. I ignored the text. Last week, I got lunch with my sister and brother-in-law. About halfway through, he started harping on my cosplay, saying he's glad I'm dressing like a woman and finally wearing makeup. When he made a comment about how I should keep it up after Halloween, I snapped and explained that I'm not cosplaying Maleficent, I'm cosplaying a different male character inspired by her, and he got really annoyed and was snippy the rest of the meal. My sister called me that evening and said I was deliberately upsetting him. She said he'd been really excited that I was acting like a lady, and he'd been hoping I was turning over a new leaf, and asked me to change my costume and just go as Maleficent. I'll be attending her Halloween party, and she keeps telling me I'll really upset him if I show up dressed as a man again. I thought the whole thing was ridiculous and everyone was getting worked up over a costume, but our mother pointed out that I could have just kept my mouth shut and let him think it was Maleficent costume just to keep the peace. He's sort of throwing a tantrum now, and I know Halloween is going to be really, really awkward if he doesn't get over it by then. So am I the asshole for not letting it go? No, absolutely not. You're not the asshole. I find it extremely odd and weird behavior for him to be so hyper-focused on what you got going on. What the hell does he care? Why is he trying to set you up with guys when he knows that you like girls? Why is he trying to, why is he so focused on what you wear and that you look like a man, and why aren't you acting like a lady? I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. What? Sorry. What? The last I checked, you're married to my sister. Okay, I am not your woman, so why do you care so much what I got going on? Like, what? This is weird to me, weird. So, no, you're not an asshole, and I think he is, and like, extremely childish at that. And I also think it's dumb that your sister is like, not standing up for you either. It's like, I get that that's her man, but it's like, it's your sister. I don't think that she should be allowing him to speak to you this way or make you feel this way. And honestly, if I were you, I just wouldn't even go to the party. I would not allow somebody to make me feel this way. Like, why am I even going to put myself in that situation? Like, sure, yeah, it's going to be really, really awkward if you show up dressed as what you want to dress as and he has a problem with it. So at that point, how about we just, make the problem, I'm not showing up. How's that? Ridiculous. This is ridiculous to me. Let's see what others have to say. This one says, not the asshole. Your sister and her prick husband suck. Forget their party and make new plans with better people for Halloween. You deserve better people in your life. Your outfit sounds amazing. I bet you rock it too. This one says, not even a little bit the asshole. Kudos to you for standing your ground. Side note, I was recently reading some training for church youth program, and it points out that it's only joking if both or all parties think it's funny. Otherwise, it's bullying and harassment. If you want to be snarky, say, I'm not dressing like a lady, but when do you plan to act like a gentleman? Or you could skip to asking when he plans to cosplay an adult. I like that. And this one says, not the asshole. What the fuck is wrong with him? Like, let's be objective here. This man is getting angry and upset because of what his wife's sister wears. Not his wife, which would be bad enough, but her sister. Who f***ing asked him? Why is it any of his business? How come your mom and sister are catering to this toddler tantrum? I have so many questions about this whole thing, honestly. That's exactly how I was feeling too. Like, yeah, I also don't think it would be cool if he was like upset with his wife for how she's dressing and stuff like that. Cause like at the end of the day, it's like, you know your wife and whatever, but it's like a whole other thing. Why do you even care what her sister's doing? What? You see her at like passing events and stuff like that. Like, I don't understand this. It's so weird. So definitely not the asshole. Definitely don't go to their party and just be safe. The next story is titled, Am I the asshole for posting a picture of these people stealing my neighbor's pumpkins. My neighbor decided to grow some pumpkins in her front yard for her grandchildren to make jack-o'-lanterns. For months she would go out and water them and make sure insects weren't getting to them. It was really nice seeing her get outside once in a while again. One day I noticed this man and woman taking her pumpkins. I knew neither of them were one of my neighbor's children and that my neighbor wasn't giving the pumpkins away to other people. We had talked about the pumpkins earlier and she said she was relieved because she had just enough pumpkins for all her grandkids. So I confronted them and said something like, "Hey, those aren't your pumpkins." They ignored me, so I repeated myself and the guy said something to me in a different language. I didn't know what he was saying, but the way he said it didn't make it seem like it was something nice. Then they grabbed the last couple pumpkins and took off. Before they left, I was able to snap a couple pictures of them, but unfortunately didn't get a clear image of their license plate. When my neighbor got home, she was so sad to see all the pumpkins were gone. The poor lady looked like she was about to break down crying. I told her what happened, that I had some pictures of the people who took them, which I gave to her. A couple days later, I was talking to her, and she said she went down to the police station, but that they didn't care because they were just pumpkins. We decided to post the pictures on my next-door neighbor account, asking if anyone knew them and to DM me any information they had. I didn't add any context about what they did, just the pictures of them with the pumpkins in front of my neighbor's house and a picture of their car in case people recognized that too. By the time I got off work, the post had gotten popular in town though, and people had recognized the couple. There were also comments from others explaining that these people had stolen my neighbor's pumpkins. After that, I noticed that the tone of some of the comments was getting focused on their race, so I decided to just delete the whole post. But other people had already reposted the pictures to their Facebooks and then started to contact me personally through my accounts for more details. So I deleted my accounts because it was overwhelming me. The couple publicly apologized and explained they couldn't afford pumpkins for their own kids, but people are still saying some pretty awful things about them. There were a couple posts saying the original poster was a piece of shit and a racist for posting it, knowing it could have caused these people to be harassed. But I was really just trying to help my neighbor get her pumpkins back. Yikes! No, I don't think that you're an asshole for doing this. You were trying to do a good thing. You never said anything about these people's race, and that doesn't even matter. There are great and bad people of all colors, sizes, everything, okay? So, I don't think that the fact that they stole these pumpkins had anything to do with their race. So, let's leave that out of it. Which you did, other people took it upon themselves to take it to that level, which it always seems like there's somebody that's got to do that. But no, you were trying to do a good thing. You felt bad for your next door neighbor. You were trying to just get more information. You were trying to be like, hey, anybody know these people? They just, stole these pumpkins from my sweet little old neighbor. And people just took it to a whole other level, as the internet does, unfortunately. I feel like the internet is no longer a place of trying to be helpful. It's just kind of like it can be a hellscape sometimes. So that is very unfortunate, but I don't think that you were in the wrong here. And you did take quick action to delete the posts and stuff like that. But unfortunately, when things like this start to spread, it's people just take it and run with it. So I'm sorry that happened. And let's see what others have to say. This one says, not the asshole. You are not responsible for other people's racism. Good for you for trying to help your neighbor. This one says, not the asshole. You just had some racist jerks out themselves. Did they bring back the pumpkins? This one says, not the asshole, and you are not a racist. You didn't out them because of their race. You outed them for being thieves. In fact, you clearly didn't condone the racism because you deleted the racist posts. They should be ashamed of themselves, stealing from an elderly woman just trying to do some good for her grandchildren. I agree. I don't think it matters what race the people were. Anybody could have, been the one to do this, and, people do deserve to be shamed for stealing. And it doesn't even matter if they were stealing from an elderly woman, a child, a middle-aged person, anybody. Nobody deserves to get their property stolen. And I don't know, I think it's sad knowing the backstory and this woman couldn't really afford too many pumpkins, but she had just enough for all her grandkids, and now it's well, they're all gone. That's so sad. I hope that the community was able to come together and maybe get this lady some new pumpkins. I would love to know. Alright, and the last story that we're going to be reading today is titled, Am I the Asshole for Crashing Out Over Halloween Candy? Hi, I don't really know how to word the title since I just want to know if I'm being overdramatic or not. I, female, still a teen, went trick-or-treating for the first time in 8 years, and I got a decent amount of candy. My mom isn't really nice to me and she yelled at me for going out. She doesn't like me hanging out with my friends and expects me to stay in all day, but that's a whole separate issue. Candy and food in general have always been a sore issue for me since I grew up in a home where my mom refused me any junk food, whether it be candy, chips, or any sort of snack. I used to sneak to the dollar store across the street, buy snacks, and hide them from my mom. My mom also gave me kind of eating issues as she did, and still does, call my stomach big and ugly a lot. This kind of gives context to how I would react later on. I brought in a bag of candy for me to snack on into school. During chemistry, I left the bag out and went on a walk since the teacher allowed me to do so. When I came back, the bag is 80% gone. Turns out one of my classmates ate it and she thought it was funny. For someone who rarely got an opportunity to eat these sweets, I kind of cried and called her a bitch. She kept offering me candy to make it up, but her selfish actions pissed me off. Anyways, I ended up breaking down. Looking back, it's kind of embarrassing that I sobbed over getting my candy stolen. I wasn't going to make this post originally, but my mom just stole the rest of my Halloween candy since she says I don't need it. My crash out might have been building up for a while since the girl who stole my candy has done other shitty things to me. Anyways, really sorry for the long post. I needed to rant. So am I the asshole? No. And honestly, I feel very sad. Like, I swear, I thank God every day for the mother that I was blessed with, because the amount of like times that I hear these young girls or even like early 20s girls talking about their childhoods and talking about their almond moms, talking about, you know, you don't need to eat that, you're getting fat, blah, 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 all this stuff. It's like, oh my God, like my mom would never. And do you like the point of how she said like her mom like refuses to let her have any sort of treat and stuff like that? So she's over here sneaking to the dollar store to get herself treats. It's like when you are overly strict with your kids, all you're doing is setting them up to become super sneaky. And listen, I understand being strict to a point, not letting your kids go out, with whoever when it's like late at night or whatever, or, not letting them, have privileges, like phone privileges or video game privileges or something like that. If they haven't gotten their homework or their chores done, like when you said to, like they do need to understand consequences to your actions sort of thing. However, when you are just like, it's like you want your kid to be joyless, when you don't want to give them any sort of treat, when you don't want them to have any sort of fun, all you're doing is making them into someone that is, one, going to resent you, but two, going to just do things behind your back. Because it's like, they are gonna want to do these things, and since you're depriving them of it, it's just gonna turn into a bigger issue for you. So I completely understand why she crashed out over this, and I don't think that she's an asshole for doing it. Calling her out of her name was a little much probably, but I mean, I understand. Like you said, this has probably been bubbling up for a while, not just because this person who stole her candy has been doing things to her in the past, but because her mom doesn't allow her to have this. So while she's at school and she like can have her little treat, she leaves it alone for like a few minutes, comes back, and it's like almost all the way gone. And then she goes home and gets the rest of it taken away. Like, this poor girl can't catch a break. So no, I don't think that she's an asshole for this, and I feel very sad for her. I hope that I hope that things get better for her. And let's see what others have to say. This one says, not the asshole. I get that it's embarrassing to have a big reaction to a small thing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It wasn't just about the candy, but that's where the emotions came out. It sounds like your classmate realized it wasn't funny and tried to make it up to you, but you were caught in the huge emotion. If you want, you can go back and accept her offer for the candy. You could even explain that you got so emotional because there were other things going on in your life to let her know it was a big reaction. I don't think it was inappropriate, bad, or wrong. It was just more than it seemed to the outsiders. And if she's been bullying you or missing the mark with funny jokes, that wears a person out as well. I'm so sorry you're so run down. And this one says, not the asshole. While her actions might not have been that bad, especially since she probably just thought it was a joke, if she's been constantly harassing you, I can understand your resentment. Same with your mother, but not much you can do about that, sadly. Yeah, that's that was kind of like a sad note to end this off with, but I agree. The person who had the big reaction, definitely not the asshole. Like, I feel bad that they were even in that position to begin with, and it sucks. That it's just a bad situation overall. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this spooky Halloween edition of a reading r/am I the asshole stories. I promise we're gonna get back to the crafty stories literally right after this. But, you know, I tried my best. You know, there was the making of the costume story. There was the creating the costume, both of those stories. You know, he turned himself into a blade of grass. She turned herself into Malleus, you know. Hey, I tried to find as many crafty things as I could, okay? Carving pumpkins, you know. So I tried to make it sort of creative. Anyway, I don't need to explain myself. I hope you had fun here today. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and also, in case you want to be a participant in one of my reading subscriber stories videos, my email is always linked down below. They don't have to be crazy, absurd stories like r/am I the stories. They can be just how you got into the craft that you're into, or your pictures of your crochet whips or finished projects that you're proud of, warm, heartfelt memories that you have working on the craft that you're into. Whatever you got, I'm here to listen. So feel free to send me your submissions, always linked down below my email. I just want to say a big thank you for always being here, always liking, subscribing, commenting. You guys are the best. Go treat yourself today. Have like a nice little treat, your favorite candy. Even if you don't celebrate Halloween, you should still treat yourself to a little something today. And if you're going out tonight, you know, I know it's like Halloween, it's following on Friday night, you know, I'm probably gonna stay in and watch like a spooky movie or something. But if you are going out, please, please, please be safe, be aware of all of your surroundings. Do not you know, leave anything unattended. Just take care of yourselves, okay? Because it's not just spooky movie scary, it's like real life scary out there, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day, week, month, night, whatever you're having. Please enjoy yourself, and I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Bye!